Hello, welcome and welcome back, or considering this side story should I say, hello, willkommen und willkommen zurück. My name is Jacob and today we are gonna be beginning the narration and character voice acting for the side story Zwillingstürme im Herbst. And as it might be evident, especially for newer viewers to the channel, yes, I can speak German. Yes, I am at home with this side story, and I'm enjoying it. But I will also confess, having sentences that are, let's say, 5 words of English, then suddenly German, then suddenly English, then suddenly German again, trips me up a lot. It's still very fun, and some words are very, you tried. But anyway, that's beside the point. So then, Zwillingstürme is finally here, and oh boy, do we have a lot to cover here, especially here in the intro. I would like to do, especially for newer viewers, both to the channel and for newer players to Arknights, I would like to do a little tour of, hey, here is all the stuff that is connected to this, because let me tell you right now, if you just want to go blindly into the story, especially if you're a new player to Arknights, I will not stop you. Go ahead, go through the story, follow it along with the narration here on the channel and stuff like that. Do be warned, however, they mention a ton from other stories, and I mean, there's like 3 different storylines essentially that are fusing themselves literally into this. And I would like to introduce you guys to what is connected to this, because oh boy, there's a lot. For those of you who want to skip that, who don't need that, of course, as always, there are timestamps down below in the comment section. Just hit them and you will be at the beginning, and we are going to be beginning properly later with a lesson. More on that in a bit. But yeah, everything that I'm gonna be showing you guys right now is linked in the description. Pretty much every single side story that is connected to this, I have done a narration and voice acted through it here on the channel. Playlists are all available. They're all separated by their branch, literally. I'm gonna literally branch them by Leithanien, Sancta, or rather LATERANO, and NEARL. More on that in a second. But yeah, 3 separate branches of stories, playlists, everything neatly placed in the description box of the video, so peruse, go through them, enjoy. They're all good stories. But all in order, let's begin with one of them. Or rather, let's go back here, go down here, and begin with the probably most important one. Lingering Echoes is our first stop here. This is probably the most important one because Leithanien. There is another story that took place in Leithanien before this one was released, and that is Twilight of Volmonde, and that is here higher in the list because it's the older one story. But for our purposes, not necessary, because it's its own little thing in its own little corner of Leithanien. However, this one, especially because of Ebenholz, is very important. And it's one of those that introduces us both to a shit ton of lore of Leithanien, their arts, their music, and so on and so forth. I would highly recommend, for those of you who want to have more context, especially because, again, because of Ebenholz and his connection to everything, go through this story. It is a good one. You'll enjoy it. Now, that is branch number 1. That one is easy to go through, right? It is just one story technically in there. Branch number 2. The LATERANO arc, beginning with Guide Ahead. Now, Guide Ahead, you could say it's its almost own thing, but it still features Executor, who is important for our story here because of several reasons. But it's also the story that is the precursor to the story that introduces Executor Alter, or rather his appearance as a saint, because that's what he essentially is later. But Guide Ahead sets us off on that journey essentially, and also Guide Ahead, this side story takes place only a few short weeks, maybe even less, before the events of the next one begin. Now, the next side story is Hortus de Escapismo. Problem with the story is, as of this recording right now, and when this video is gonna go live, Hortus only came out recently in the last couple of months. So if you began literally at the beginning of this year, or just this month, or rather, you will not have access to the story because, number one, it is nowhere in this menu. It will be added to this menu once the rerun happens at the end of this year. But for now, you either were playing the game when Hortus released, and you unlock the stages in the story, and it's available in game. And for those purposes, you would have to go into the archive and go all the way almost here on the right, very far. There's a lot. Yep. And there is Hortus de Escapismo. Again, this one is probably another one of the more important ones because, number one, covers Executor in his role as not just the Executor, but also for the Notorial Hall, but also the Saint version of him, and Arturia. Arturia is very present in this side story, and you get to learn a lot, let's put it that way. It is also a very good story, so I can only recommend it. There is one more Laterano related story that I will link in the description of the video together with them. However, it is not available in-game. It is a manga. There are two mangas for Arturia and Federico here, Executor, and they pretty much cover their childhood, and they cover a certain portion of the story that takes place before, or rather certain events that take place in Leithanien before the events of Lingering Echoes, couple of years actually before Lingering Echoes. Now, my personal recommendation would be just not to spoil certain elements of Lingering Echoes. Go through Lingering Echoes first and then read the manga, would be my recommendation. But you can do it in any way you want. This is just my recommendation. But yeah, this is it for the Laterano section. Now for the other section. Oh boy, this one is the long one. This one is the longest one. Now this is the storyline that will introduce us to Viviana, essentially. Beginning with Maria NEARL, which sets us on the course later to NEARL Light, which is where we learn about Viviana, see Viviana, and a lot of plot points will carry over from here. And there is one more story in here, but it is not available over here. It is available only in here where the other vignette side stories are, because this one is, again, a vignette side story. An Obscure Wanderer is the third story in the NEARL storyline. So Maria NEARL, NEARL Light, Obscure Wanderer. There is one more, and I'm specifically skipping it because it has nothing to do with what we are doing here. This is Pinus Silvestris. But for our purposes, these three are one storyline, and it's not just important to go through the NEARL storyline to see Viviana, which would, in that case, I would only recommend NEARL Light. That would be enough. But the entire NEARL family, without spoiling it, I'll just say there is a connection towards Leithanien. That is all I'm gonna say. And what that is, and well, I'm gonna leave to you guys to discover, unless, again, I have no idea if it's gonna be mentioned at any given point during Zwillingstürme. We're gonna see together, but there is a clear connection for, or should be a clear connection for, the entire NEARL family towards Leithanien. So yeah, that would be it. Now, there is one more bonus. Complete bonus. I have no idea if it will play any given role in Zwillingstürme. I've only seen this mentioned in passing, and that is main theme, main story. No idea if anything from main story will be showing up, gonna be mentioned in Zwillingstürme or not. I have no idea. The only thing I can tell you right now, and this is not even a spoiler, is that in the current new episode that was just recently released, they literally had a section at the beginning where two reporters literally mentioned Viviana and that she stepped down as a knight. That was it. That was it. Unless that is the thing that people were mentioning, oh, you should go through main story for this. No. I'm just mentioning it just in case. But I will also say, if it's gonna be in a similar fashion how Lone Trail did it in the past, because Lone Trail did mention certain events from main story that didn't even take place yet, I will not point them out. Whatever they mention, if at any given point they mention anything in the story from main story, I will not say a single thing. Because that's just how I deal with stories on this channel, you know? I don't tell you anything. If they mention anything from anything else, I am just shutting my mouth. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you're golden. Or rather, in both cases, you're golden. But anyway, this is enough. This is already a long intro. I just wanted to inform you guys. So apologies, but yeah, let's begin properly, and we shall begin with a video. So all I can tell you guys is enjoy the lesson. I will warn you, however, the audio mixing on the thing is terrible. If you speak German, you're gonna enjoy it. You probably already saw it. It was recently released as well on the official YouTube channel for Arknights, the English one. Full in German with English subtitles. The audio mixing, however, is super horrible. I do not know who mixed the music and the narration through the whole thing, but my guy, please. I can barely hear the guy. But anyway, enjoy the video, and I will see you guys right after that.
Ich sehe, ihr habt alle den Lehrplan erhalten. Sehr gut. Falls ihr es noch nicht wisst, in diesem Fach studieren wir die Originium-Künste. Gleich nähern wir uns dem aktionsreichen Teil. Doch vorher gehen wir noch einmal durch, was wir über die leithanischen Schulen der Kunststudien wissen. Die Schule der Beschwörung, die älteste Form aller Künste. Sie wird meist verwendet, um ein Objekt in Form und Struktur zu verändern oder es schweben zu lassen. Diese Schule ist weit verbreitet in unserer Gesellschaft. Das beweist, dass wir Menschen von Natur aus gerne mit etwas experimentieren. Oder mit jemandem. Habt ihr jemals einen guten DIY-Biestbraten in eurem Schlafsaal gegessen? Dann konntet ihr die große historische Bedeutung der Schule der Hervorrufung ja schon selbst erleben. Dank Pyro- und Aerokünsten konnten unsere Ahnen endlich ihre Zeit für wichtigere Dinge nutzen, statt die ganze Nacht auf einen brennenden Stock zu starren. Dies führte zur Entdeckung der Geheimnisse von Elektro- und Kryokunst. Dadurch konnten ihre Nachkommen dann die ganze Nacht auf ihre Fernsehgeräte und Kaltgetränke starren. Die Schule der Umwandlung entsprang der jahrhundertelangen Besessenheit von Platoristen und Alchemisten. Leider gibt es auch heute noch keine unverwundbaren Städte oder aus dem Nichts erschaffenes Gold. Trotzdem geben uns diese Künste der Transmutation einige recht nützliche Dinge wie die Originiumöfen, Minenkolosse, Kohlesteine, Gelwürfel, Taschentücher und Plastiktüten. Diese feinen Demonstrationen stammen von Herrn von Moosbeest, einem Mitglied unserer Fakultät. Sie zeigen, wie die Schule der Verbesserung das Potenzial des Lebens durch die Künste der Augmentation maximieren will. Wie der Name vermuten lässt, geht es um die Veränderung der Biologie von Kreaturen. Ihr Zweig, die Schule der Wiederherstellung, hat ebenso eine lange Tradition in den Künsten der Restauration. Hierbei ist vor allem biologische Expertise vonnöten, um diese Künste hilfreich anwenden zu können. Schenkt den Menschen in eurem Behandlungsraum also etwas mehr Aufmerksamkeit und Respekt. Niemand will kleine Köpfe auf seinen Fingerspitzen wachsen sehen. Ihr wollt lieber tanzende Schnecken trainieren, mit Grammophonen plaudern oder mit unseren an den Wänden hängenden ehemaligen Rektoren mitschwingen? Dann sei euch die Schule der Wahrsagung empfohlen. Aber nur, wenn ihr Noten und Punkten gegenüber nicht zu sensibel seid. Denn die Künste der Divination zu meistern ist eine wahre Herausforderung. Da liegt ihr nicht falsch, aber es ist trotzdem eine wertvolle Herausforderung. Ich hoffe, wir bekommen dieses Mal genug Studenten für ein Seminar in diesem Fach zusammen. Und damit ist die Wiederholung abgeschlossen. Jetzt ist es Zeit für den aktionsreichen Part. Haltet euch gut an euren Einheiten fest. Gleich geht es los.
Alright then, and with that video out of the way, and we have probably selected a course that we're gonna be taking right now, right? Right. If we heard the guy properly, right? Again, the audio mixing on that thing is absolutely horrible, but it's a cool video. Anyway, link to that official video is also in the description of this very video. If you want to watch it on the official Arknights channel, you'll hear that it's absolutely horrible there as well. So that's just what it is, I guess. But anyway, let's begin. So then, we're gonna be beginning obviously with our first cutscene that introduces us to everything, and then the first battle and second battle stage and the before and after cutscenes that follow with it. Now, before we head in, however, one interesting thing down here in the bottom right is the 3 different stages that we have, or layouts that we have for different stages. Beginning with our story one that is currently available, which is Zwillingstürme anbeten. Basically meaning worship the Twin Towers. The next one being Die Gnade ist ewig. Pretty much grace is eternal. Which is also funny because that's the name of someone, or the title of someone. And the next one is, or rather the last one is Die Macht ist grimm. This one is one of those, it's kind of like all over the place depending on what you're selecting for, in English at least, for the word, both for the word Macht and grimm, because there's a couple of them. But I guess you could translate it as wrathful power, or power of wrath, or something like that. That's just a baseline. There's a couple of, like I said, couple of words for this one. But again, that's the title of someone else. But anyway, with that out of the way, let us begin with our first cutscene. Titled Prelude, Surprise Return. The poet returns from a long journey, only to find a homeland changed. Rain and wind come hand in hand with evening in Kreis Sturmland. After generations of keepers, a house spire's decrepit stairwells will always hide moss somewhere in their cracks, no matter how the casters work to keep them clean. He thinks of Zwillingstürme, of the time when the black spire reminiscent of twisted horns had yet to be superseded by the newly erected twin spires, but the majestic city was called by a different name. Of the dazzling auburn alleys in autumn, the kind he'd crossed through in his youth, still sans wand or dagger, nestled in his hands were but a few bound poetry collections, and precious hopes of freedom. Not so anymore. Though the storm briefly abates, the spire's peak is still ruinously cold. Moonlight stabs through the drapery like rain, like a nail driven through each and every hope as it springs up. What a shame, he laments. Never again will he see the marigold in bloom. Northern border of Leithanien, in Fels, the capital of Kreis Sturmland. Year 1100. Marvelous, truly marvelous! A performance of such fluency as if the moonlight were caressing my cheeks. Herr Erich, what are your thoughts? Marfa, why do you treat me so? Why speak of her? It's not as if your ex-fiancée were here, Herr Erich. The callousness in your features stings my heart deep, yet your beauty takes my breath away all the same, such that I cannot forget. I strongly suggest you move your hands away from my waist. People are watching. Apologies. Did the piece end already? I hadn't even realized. I don't know why, but just now it was as if I'd been transported back to last autumn, to the day my Marfa left me. The sorrow crushed my chest. As I always say, take more walks. Concerts like this may well be rare in Sturmland, but Zwillingstürme is a different story. Sadly, I may not make it to das Kaiserinnenfest this year. As I recall, my Herr, you have a distant uncle with a seat at the Kurfürstenhof. Could it be you've heard something? I know that Viviana. Oh, nothing reliable, at least. But the Kurfürst has hardly left his spire once these past months. Even the doctor rarely attends him anymore, while visits from casters serving other houses have only grown more frequent.
It would seem almost none of us will be venturing outside of Sturmland these days. The Kaiserinnenfest may come every year, but an audience with the new Lensherr? Who would dare miss that? I wouldn't dream of it. No offense, but I prefer to spend my dreams with my lovely Martha instead. Thank goodness we have Frau Arturia Giallo. Only her cello can grant me a brief reprieve from the pressures of the day, a welcome breath of fresh air. Quite right. I pity that today will be her final concert here.
Then let me be drunk of it for a while more, just a while. After all, the storm is nigh again. What are you standing around for? Did the steward not explain your duties? You're to return to the cellar immediately once dinner is served. Don't disturb the curfirst while he's resting.
The stern chastisement falls on deaf ears. The servant walks off in a stupor, down the steps and through the door. Like a shell stripped of her soul, she ambles towards the cracking thunder outside.
Hold it! Is that blood on your hands? Is the curfirst? Guards, quickly!
When will this weather make up its mind? If this keeps up, my fire will be damp again, and I just put it away. Hank, could you start the fire already? How long could it possibly take when the back garden is right there? Did you forget your wand again?
May I have an extra candle, sir?
Oh, of course, Frau Droste. Will you be waiting here for someone again, like yesterday?
Yeah.
The wind's especially strong tonight. You might want to go upstairs. It'll be warmer in there.
It's fine. I haven't been back in so long, but my body's still accustomed to the weather here.
I just about forgot you're from Sturmland yourself. I saw an article about you in the paper a few years back, and I must say it caught me off guard. And here I thought I would recognize every young'un raised in these parts.
It's not surprising you don't remember me. I'm just an ordinary person. I always have been.
Careful now. Modesty kills. I even thought the article might have been poppycock until you strolled through the door of my shop. You have the poise and grace of a blue blood from up in the spires.
I appreciate what you've done for me over the last 2 days, Hermilla. Especially...
Don't you worry now. I won't tell a soul you're here. I know the media has been hounding you even after your retirement. Look at the bright side. You're in Leithanien again. They only ever headline nobles and their big affairs.
I suppose.
But look at me keeping you to myself again. Here's your candle. What else will you be needing?
Might you have any more books you could lend me?
You got through that novel already. I'll check the cupboard. Anything you'd like to read next? I've got 2 illustrated guides, a historical fiction, and 5 or so poetry anthologies. I'm thinking you'd prefer the poems. Viviana runs this folk poetry society, and all these poets like to turn up as special guests. Or, so I hear.
No, I'll have the historical fiction, please. After returning, I don't think I could stand any more poetry for a while.
Radio, take this one then. And don't worry about returning it anytime soon. I'll leave you be now. Hank! Hank! You little louse poop! I know you're lazing about somewhere!
The glued embers. It's an interesting tale, though it doesn't bear much resemblance to actual history. Ah, I didn't notice there were other customers. Guten Abend. It certainly is a good evening. May I ask your name? Cora Löwenstein. So I take it you've read this novel, Frau Löwenstein? Regretfully, I've only been to the opera adapted from it. By the time it was published, I'd lost my ability to enjoy literature. Ah, your eyes. I apologize. That was tactless of me. Oh, you get used to it after 20 or so years. Besides, it saves money on candles and firewood on nights like these. Do you mind if I sit a little nearer? By all means. What warm candle flame. Did it start raining out there? Your clothes are damp. I forgot to take my umbrella, what with the rush I was in. Pardon me if I'm mistaken, but did you come here to meet me? All these years and business here is still sluggish. Or so I suppose. Everything in Sturmland is the same as ever. We're far from the capital, catastrophes keep coming, and the weather here lives up to its name. Outside of special occasions, we hardly ever see many out-of-towners. I still remember the view from this spot by the window. You can see the nomadic plate with the Kurfürst's parlor spire, can't you? He should have picked somewhere more out of the way for you. So it was him who sent you. Hold my hand. Tight. Listen closely. I hear people, many of them, hiding outside in the gales. You can control the candle flame by your hand, right, Viviana? I can. Then on my mark, please. Let's extinguish.
The instant the candlelight dims, the grocer's windows shatters into pieces. The rainstorm outside pours in alongside assorted arts energy, covering a full spectrum of effects. Viviana grips Cora's hand, struck with the sense that she is sitting on a skiff in the heart of a raging sea. Wave after wave of arts crash down on them, all but blowing the humble storefront to smithereens, yet precisely parting to leave the two of them unscathed. Footsteps clack within the shop.
They can't tell where we are. They have to approach to feel us out. Can you sense their positions? Crystal clear. Let me handle this.
Candle flame leaps anew from Viviana's palm. The shadows come to life, reaching their limbs through the ruins and spreading across the rubble to pin the looming casters in place.
7, 8, 9. We're safe for now. You saved my life. You handled the brunt of it. All I did was tune their arts a little. Now, let's get away from here before more assassins come calling. Who were they? People here to meet you, like me. Will Hermilla and Hank be in danger? Our old gentleman's in the back garden. He avoided this attack. My colleague will get him to safety shortly. As for her assistant, he's the one who called them. He should have known that dealing in shady businesses like this would earn him more than a handful of Originium ingots. I honestly don't see how I'm any sort of a worthwhile target. I'll explain in a moment. For the time being, Viviana. Could you let me take a proper look at you? You mean...
The woman's beautiful face may be unfamiliar to her, but her voice and expression are anything but. Viviana finds herself unable to decline. Cora lifts her hands and feels about for Viviana's cheeks, her fingers tracing a few soft strokes once they alight. Her movements are infinitely tender, the sort one would use for handling the most precious instrument. And as if in response, tears well up in her lustreless eyes.
You resemble your mother so much. If only Vanna could see you now, how joyous he would have been. So close too. He spent so long struggling in his sickbed just to see you one last time. Vanna, My father? Did he... I'm so sorry, Viviana. Not long ago, your father, Sturmland Kurfürst Werner, passed away in his pyre. And that was how it transpired, my Herr. We were all in our places keeping watch. Nobody expected the assassin to infiltrate the Kurfürst's room.
The assassin? You mean to say the Kurfürst's personal attendant?
Yeah, mein Herr.
She had been employed in this spire for more than half her life.
The Kurfürst trusted her implicitly, as did we all. Yet without a doubt, she was the last to see him alive.
Did anyone else enter the room after the incident?
Only the personal bodyguard and the doctor.
Did anyone at all step outside?
Nein, not one of us set foot outside the Parlous Spire this evening. We still haven't identified who among us is to blame, so we've locked all the servants in the basement cells for now. Shall I show you the way?
No need. I've already met with them.
Did you question the assassin?
Having been under the effects of psychological art, she has no recollection of her whereabouts.
We should try torturing her, otherwise it's near impossible to determine if she's lying.
Well then, are you lying?
Me? Nein, mein Herr, how could I? I've been loyal to the Hohenberg family for over a decade. Everything I have, I owe to Kurfürst Werner.
Then, would you swear that upon the Güldenes Gesetz?
Güldenes Gesetz, the Golden Movement. How would I dare deceive a Gesetzeswächter?
You left the spire after what happened in there. You have the smell of rainwater on you. The hem of your clothes has brushed against the moss in the cracks in the steps outside. 10 years is nothing. You don't yet know House Hohenberg's spire well enough, just as you didn't know Kurfürst Werner well enough.
The Kurfürst, he summoned you here.
The Kurfürst picked up on your disloyalty. You began staring into action once he fell ill. I only regret that Frau Löwenstein and I were ultimately one step behind.
Send notice to the concertmaster that the Gesetzeswächters found that...
It is futile to resist the melody's fetters. Much like your wisdom, your arts are ugly and brittle. Where did you send that thing? Answer me, Remnant.
Zwillingstürme.
Is your concertmaster the one who used psychological arts to influence the attendant? Are they also in Zwillingstürme?
The concertmaster. No, my head.
The golden melody now resounds in the deepest parts of your soul. Any intent to disobey and your mind will collapse beneath its weight.
Gesetzeswächter. With such absolute power, why must you serve as a thrall to the twin puppets?
It is not my melody that restrains you, nor the decree of the Kaiserinnen. What you are failing to resist is the will of Leithanien herself.
The will of... Leithanien? Since when did the present-day Leithanien have even a fraction of the will she should? The Genesis horn, the might of the great Herkunftshorn will come to enshroud this land anew. Ah!
The female sound the deaf plays. A caster that can seize such cries over such a long distance is no ordinary remnant. The concertmaster.
Frau, the ride for Zwillingstürme is here.
Are we leaving right now?
Yes, let's go. The friend who invited me here has just taken the curtain call. I've played every piece I needed to. There's no reason to linger here any longer.
Somehow, without realizing, I'd been staying here all this time. Martha, my dear Martha, oh, it's like I'm dreaming. How long would I have to wait to hear such a remarkable performance again? I've told you people, you are not to disturb me whenever I'm attending a What? Wait, what did you say? I'll be back post-haste. Get my ride ready. I'll need to see a few friends. And one more thing. I want the wood carving I bought in Kreis Lupokarm, as well as the Victorian porcelain I keep in the study. Bring them both. Why such haste? Was the Kurfürst not alive and well this morning? The days to come will be arduous once more. Oh, Arturia, only your music and your beauty can deliver me from this nightmare. The sheer effort I went to just to arrive at her interim abode, only to find she'd already... Please continue. Continue? Who are you? And what's that you're holding? A wand or a... You mentioned an intent to visit Arturia. I assume you have some relation to her. I'm currently searching for her. Therefore I require any and all pertinent leads. You're looking for Frau Giallo too? Are you some fanatic follower of hers? Follower? That is highly inaccurate description. Per the tenets of the law, and on special assignment by the Curia, I must apprehend the fugitive and repatriate her to Laterano. Fugitive? Frau Giallo is a guest of the Kurfürst, and no matter the rumors from outside... No, I find you far more suspicious. Hereri, are you still well? They put the alley under lockdown out there. Gendarmerie are over. I hear even a Gesetzeswächter went over to the Kurfürst parlor spire. Danke, I'm well enough. I was just about to visit a few Grafen and see what word I could pick off the grapevine. How uncanny can one night get? Damn my indolent chauffeur! Where is he? At least one small stroke of fortune is that Frau Giallo has already safely departed for Zwillingstürme. Wait, where did that eerie Sancta go off to? The fugitive Arturia is no longer here. Executor Federico, continuing pursuit of target. Destination Zwillingstürme, capital of Leithanien.
It's time we got going too, Viviana. They'll announce that the Kurfürst passed from illness. It's understandable. A white lie to keep the domain in order. I won't be able to attend the funeral, will I? I'm so sorry. You never even got to see him one last time after you rushed back from Casimir's and everything. And now you can't go even to... mourn him. I'm not even sure I have the right to anyway. I scarcely remember how he looked. In all these years, all the word father meant to me was just the letters he sent to Casimir's. And yet, I can't help but think that even the letters themselves might have been written by a retainer in his stead. Your father never once forgot about you. So everyone tells me, including myself. And I'm willing to believe it. But as I read that last letter, I still hesitated. I didn't know if I should... no, if I wanted to come back. You have a tender heart, Viviana. I can't imagine you ever decline a dying man's last wish. Or perhaps it was the spire I wanted to see one last time. Just to see if it still towered over the clouds like I remembered. You can't go back there, at least not for now. For your own safety, we shouldn't remain in Sturmland for long. Were the ones who took his life and the casters who came for me last night sent by the same people? Not necessarily. With Viviana gone, anyone that knows who you are has reason enough to make a move against you. You were your father's sole descendant. In time of turbulence, neither his enemies nor his former vassals, nor anyone else potentially in line to succeed him will just leave you be. Then what about you? Why are you protecting me? Think, and you might still recall, child. 13 years ago, upon your mother's passing, I was the one who took you to the Grand Knight territory. Then you're the Imperial Orchestra of Leithanians. Instrument tuner. Quite a convenient role. The Rice Orchestra's visit symbolized the friendly ties between Leithanien and Casimir's. No one would think to question a child with an instrument among them. So you've saved my life more than once. It was your father who wanted to, more than anyone. Some months ago, Vanna realized his days were waning, and he worried that after he left us, you'd be dragged down as a sacrifice in the power struggle. Your role in this is unique. Whether you choose to return to Leithanien or stay in Casimir's, the waves would have reached you regardless. He had no choice but to turn to me and Brandt. He hoped that, as old friends of his, we would bring you safely to Zwillingstürme. There you'll be under the protection of the Kaiserinnen. Protection of the Empresses? Yeah, that's what Viviana wanted for you. Viviana von Hohenbach. In the name of your family, you are to serve as an Empress's voice.
Central Leithanien, Kreis Einwald, in a town on the outskirts of Zwillingstürme, not far from the city gate. I need sleep. Verdammt! Why am I on duty again? Those spry young wretches always clocking out early. What excuse did I have today? A new movie? Some underground live show? The moment the month rolls over, I'll see that I get a word in with the Baron to speed up my transfer to Zwillingstürme. Hey, you there! What are you doing loitering here this late? I am taking my regular walk. To my knowledge, there have been no new decrees forbidding law-abiding citizens like myself from rambling the wilds past midnight. Well, you're not wrong. Just another port youth going for a walk. Why was I getting so nervous? Am I free to go now? I appreciate your concern. Go on, be on your... wait! Why do I get the feeling I've seen you somewhere before? You could be mistaken. After all you did just tell me that strolling nighttime youths are as common as anything. Where are you from? By your accent, I'm guessing the Urtica Grafschaft? I was born there, in the countryside. Countryside? What kind of country bumpkin talks like that? Stop being ridiculous. No, now that you mention it, I've never heard any commoner pronounce things the way you do. Say, wouldn't happen to be the runaway son of some small-time noble, would you? Let me check your ID. If you're fantasizing about gaining the favor of some aristocrat for returning me, then you'll be sorely disappointed. Has anyone ever told you that the way you talk could seriously piss people off? ID. Now. Pardon, I've got my boy's passport right here. Do peruse. Who are you? Come on, you don't remember me? I live in the city, the second-hand bookshop guy. Speaking of which, the books aren't quite flying off the shelves. And lately I've been thinking, what about a cafe stand? You must be awfully tired this late on patrol, no? Here, try my coffee. My own brew. My god, the taste! Ugh. I forgot about the cafe if I were you. For your own sake. As long as it wakes you up. So are you done with the passport? Ebenholz. That's your full name? Yeah. His parents just love the piano, the keys especially. It was between Ebenholz or Elfenbein. Well, whatever. Be on your way. You think they pay me enough to question a kid's legal name? And yes, give me all the disgusting swill you've got left. I'll need it. If you know you'd be back so soon, would you have not burned your passport? I regret nothing. If you must know, I naturally assume that whenever you people want me back, you'd simply print a second one, or as many as you need. So, why did you come back? For the hundreds of thousands of residents of the Urtica Grafschaft. Over 100 retainers in the Spire alone. I'm not so far gone in my selfishness that I'd sacrifice them all for my so-called freedom. Which means you can stop it with the jokes, my dear spy. Or did their majesties send you to try me again? See if maybe I'll pour my heart out and wait on them hand and foot? With das Kaiserinnenfest approaching, Zwillingstürme has been restless lately. Huh. And of course I still have that thing in my head. I know better than any of you that the performance of this ludicrously granting piece is far from over. Listen to me, mein Herr. My mission ends here. Once you head into Zwillingstürme, someone else will pick you up. Maybe you've already realized this, but you had two correspondents. One ordering you to come to the capital, and the other granting you your official death. But it wasn't the same majesty that brought both. Compared to the first benevolence, the other... Ebenholz doesn't even let Beagler finish before walking off. Just before disappearing around the corner for good, the young man waves a ta-ta to him. So you knew. Former Graf Urtica, are you hoping for a true death this time? I'm getting sentimental now, in all this miserable grey weather. May you... No, never mind. If people like us still have a shred of luck to spare, then let's pray we never have to meet again. Alright then, and with our usual build-up of here is all the characters that are gonna be important for the story and how they got there, let's move on to our first battle stage and the cutscenes on it. So, ZT-1. Now before we head in, just gonna mention very quickly, considering we have both before and after scenes, and I'm gonna presume every single one of the stages, considering this is a very big wordy event, are gonna have scenes like that, both scenes rather. I'm gonna be splicing them for the rest of not just this video today, but just going forward into the next episodes in the future. I'm gonna be splicing before and after scenes together into a single cutscene. You'll be able to tell when they split, when the split happens by the loading screen that will pop up eventually in the middle somewhere. But in general, we're just gonna do it as a single cutscene for the rest of this series. And once the cutscene is completely done, so both of them, we're gonna do the usual introduction of enemies while we move on to the next stage. So in between these. But yeah, anyway. ZT-1, titled Choral, Lied des klaren Himmels, or Song of Clear Skies. The hymn Lied des klaren Himmels became popular after the fall of the Witch King's Spire. Since then, the sky above Leithanien has remained clear, the haze forever dispelled. And let's begin. Meine Dame, you should rest. Just how many times have we painted this already? If you're reworking the piece, then why not have me contact the art gallery and ask them to delay the exhibition? You've been so much more spirited since that musician arrived, but to jump straight back into painting when you're yet to fully recover from your illness, only to work on, This piece. Is this a night sky? The black star's so intense, I can't make anything out.
What a truly unforgettable shade of night. I see your painting will soon be complete. However, the intense emotions fueling your tireless endeavors are also wearing down your body, and you're in no shape to go on. So, would you like me to continue my performance? Alright, I've heard your answer, as well as your pain, regret, remorse, obsession. In your heart, Leithanien died alongside you that night, the very same night reflected in your painting. Then allow me to play you a dirge, albeit more than 20 years late.
Leithanien's capital, Zwillingstürme, city center.
Listen. Every day at this hour, the city is filled with all kinds of music. Students stopping by the instrument shops on the way home from school, discussing which of the new instruments has a more stable circuit. Pedestrians getting off work, slowing their pace as their coins jiggle into an instrument case in front of a street artist. Young lovers clicking together glasses of wine in restaurants and stoves steaming in warm homes. Every scene is touching as the last. Evenings in Zwillingstürme have always been a source of inspiration for many great musicians. Then shall we add a few more pieces to the program for the celebration? Every year we begin with the Guldenes and then perform the same routine classical pieces after. Surely the people are becoming less and less interested by the year? As ever, the program is up to your majesties to decide. Then let's have a chat with the conductor and the principals after this. By the way, I recall you mentioning that you brought a young lady to see me. Yeah, your majesty. This is Viviana, Werner's daughter. Pleased to make your acquaintance, Ewige Gnade, your majesty. Ah, even better than expected. Are you still getting used to Leithanien after you return from Casimir's? I am grateful for your concern. Leithanien is far more elegant and beautiful than I remember. No need to be so formal. Cora and I often meet outside the spire for a chat, like the one we're having now. You must still be in mourning over Werner's recent passing. If you had the luxury of time, I'd much rather you have a chance to relax in the city first. You mean before you appoint me as... An Empress's voice. As you've heard from Cora, this was Werner's request. I am truly honored by the opportunity. The nobles prefer to send me their youngest sons when they're about 10 years of age, but I believe you're fully qualified for the position. And after meeting you in person, I'm even more sure of it. You praise me too highly. Modesty is a virtue, but so is the courage to speak your mind. But I'd be more than glad to fulfill your father's request. I'd also like to hear your own thoughts on this. How do you truly feel about yourself, about Leithanien, and about the future before us?
Your Majesty, I was unaware that you would be entertaining a guest.
It's fine, Brandt. This is the time I told you to come over, after all. Tell me about your findings in Sturmland.
Their copy of the Guldenes Gesetz was stolen from the Kurfürst's spire. The thieves are most likely part of the same group behind the Kurfürst's assassination, who call themselves the Echoes of Herkunftshorn.
Herkunftshorn. The Genesis Horn. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
The Witch King's remains. I interrogated one of their men. They have sent the copy to Zwillingstürme.
To this very city. Cora, how many years have we done the Kaiserinnenfest? This year will be the 23rd, your majesty. So he's been dead for 23 years now. How many of these people working tirelessly in his name have even seen him with their own eyes? It's something I've always found as saddening. Just what is it about the Leithanien of today that fills them with so much resentment? Resentment has never been rational, Your Majesty. Perhaps I should call off this year's event. If they're really intent on using the movement to cause chaos in the capital, I don't want anyone who came for the celebration to come to any harm.
We still have 3 days to go. I will find them and retrieve it.
I should have dispatched several voices to work together on this. Allow me, Your Majesty. The Empress's voice represents the glory and majesty of the Kaiserinnen, so if they were to suddenly show up across the city, they will naturally attract the attention of both civilians and the enemy. But I, or rather, what the people know me for, has nothing whatsoever to do with this matter. An interesting proposal.
Your Majesty, I believe we shouldn't let an untrained...
Brandreiner, I'm sure you and Viviana will be enough to solve this problem for me.
Yeah.
Also, another voice has just brought back a couple of interesting pieces from Kreis Wasserland. Ask Hildegard if she would like to come by my tower for a listening session. After all, you're going to go and see her after this, yes?
Yeah, Your Majesty.
Grandmaster Yoletta has taught you well. I have a feeling you'll be my favorite voice. Dankeschön. Anyway, I don't need an answer today, but I'll allow you to act as an Empress's voice in the meantime. Of course, any new voices will only officially enter the spires after the celebrations are over, as per usual. Until then, I'll be anticipating your answer. My true feelings... Sadly, our meeting has been as brief as a sunset. Ah, hold on. It's time. Do you see it? The fountain in the plaza? Beautiful, no? It is not simply water splashing along to a melody. The flowing water itself is the medium playing it. I've heard that many of the buildings and streets in Zwillingstürme are themselves instruments. Back in the day, I took a bit of time to figure out a way to keep them stable for decades. It seems that my time was well spent. So you designed them personally? Viviana, no matter what choices you make in the end, I do hope you'll fall in love with this place, as I have. Until then, let Zwillingstürme's afterglow bring you some solace. The afterglow.
She had often imagined what kind of city Zwillingstürme would be like. She had a good guess from the novels and poems she read as a child. She understood what it really looked like from the news and foreign television programs. But only now does she stand in the center of the capital for the first time, experiencing the city's lights and shadows, its sounds and scents.
Colors out of a classical painting. The timbre of accordions playing. And the fragrance of marigolds. It's just like a living poem. Surprisingly, the evening in Zwillingstürme is exactly how I imagined it. You didn't need to involve yourself in this. Her Majesty never gave me a chance to excuse myself before they spoke about it, which means I was already involved. Besides, there are things I'm curious about too. You want to uncover the truth behind your father's death. Not just that. I also wish to find myself within the darkness about to descend upon us. Then, are you already prepared to step into the night? Before I returned, I gave away my entire book collection to a friend of mine. She too had just returned to the homeland that once expelled her, and carried with her a certain conviction. I'm sure you'll laugh at me for saying this, but back then, I imagine countless times how she must have felt at that moment. And now I think I have the slightest inkling of that feeling. You have concerns about Lieselotta's decision. The Empress's voices chosen by Viviana have always been qualified, and I will not question her judgment in that regard. Frau Viviana Droste is an excellent caster. I've seen recordings of her skilled manipulations of candle flames and shadows. But her experience in handling actual crises may be lacking. After all of her experience in battle has occurred on artificial stages. Brandt Reiner, your allegiance no longer lies with the Hohenberg family. No one is more aware of that than I, Your Majesty. Otherwise, I wouldn't have simply stood there with a blank stare that night, 23 years ago. I lost the right to choose long ago. The blade and hearts of a Gesetzeswächter belong only to the Güldenes Gesetz and to Leithanien. The Güldenes Gesetz and Leithanien. What if you could only choose one? The Güldenes Gesetz defies Leithanien. In over 1,000 years, the two have never diverged. The movement's melody was created by the Leithanians, and it's hardly impossible to alter it. Herkunftshorn certainly did. Bearing but one part of the responsibility necessarily means abandoning the others. Think it through, Brandt. No one in this land can refuse to make a choice forever. I will carefully consider your words. There is one more thing. Viviana wanted me to ask you if you were free to listen to a performance by the Empress's voices. I will be. Lieselotta will probably have fallen asleep by the time I head over, though. Michael. Your Majesty, first things first, I don't want to go to the spire next door for dinner on your behalf anymore. I'm sure you know she doesn't like me at all. Enough of your jests. Continue keeping an eye on the happenings in the city. Do you need me to cooperate with the Gesetzeswächter and the unofficial Empress's voice, or the opposite? I've already told you. Continue, right? Got it.
Did you see that just now? Frau Seemann, and those black paintings too. Oh, horrid. Everyone's saying that it's a curse from His Majesty.
Move, all of you. Don't crowd in here. The road ahead is closed and the gallery will not be open to the public today.
Then a reply to Graf Josef. The gendarmerie will bear the costs of the gallery's damages.
Yeah, Captain Loris.
Right, did you save the contact details of the Fräulein who lost her necklace the other day? That girl's the editor-in-chief for the Kunst der Zwillingstürme. Please ask her to leave some space in their next issue for a presentation on, well, Frau Seemann's posthumous work.
A presentation?
Invite the critics to use their imagination. Frau Seemann was creating a new work with her blood, sweat and tears, and unfortunately ended up also giving her life to the canvas and succumbing to exhaustion. Her final piece is certainly deserving of some sort of praise. Unfortunately, this incomplete masterpiece will only be exhibited to the public, as per her final wishes. I can only hope for the article to have no mention of His Majesty's name.
So, what do you think is the actual reason for Frau Seemann's demise? Who let you in? Wait, the candle... Technically, the title issued by the Kazimierzians Knight Association no longer belongs to me after retirement. I don't care what the Kazimierzians think. A few years back, when they were hiding you in the snow, I wrote a few letters of protest to the Noah nightclub, and when I later found out about your retirement, I drowned myself in drink for a few days behind the captain's back.
So that's why you were slacking off back then. but I'll overlook it for the sake of our distinguished guest.
Guten Tag, Vizegraf Loris Borden.
A pleasure to meet you. Pim, pass the order. This lovely lady is the gallery's sole visitor of the day. Tell the men to keep watch outside, and not to interfere with her movements.
Right away, sir.
When Frau Löwenstein greeted me earlier, I had no idea their majesties had actually appointed another special envoy.
I hope you can keep this a secret.
Please rest assured. Although this is such a small accident, so why did it spring the Kaiserin's secret envoy into action?
An accident? Is that the conclusion of the gendarmerie's investigation?
We did the forensics and Frau Seemann did indeed die from exhaustion. According to her attendant, she went without food or rest for multiple days on end. I can't help but admire her spirit. Such a dedicated artist is hard to come by, even in Leithanien.
This work must have been extremely important to her then.
Frau Seemann has not presented a new work for more than 2 decades. She then suddenly decided to work on this painting, even notifying the gallery in advance that she would personally unveil it today, on the first day of the exhibition. I'm sure you know what happened next. When the audience arrived, they were greeted only by the artist collapsing in front of her painting.
What about the painting itself? Was it completed?
A difficult question to answer. You'd better see it with your own eyes. I can only say that its subject was, an unexpected surprise.
Is this a brochure for the exhibition? Der Tod des Hexenkönigs. Did the artist title her work before completing it?
To be honest, many of the visitors came rushing here just because of the name.
I'd have thought Leithanien would find it quite unwelcome.
I'm guessing you haven't been here for long?
I only just returned a little while ago.
No wonder. You may not be aware, but the fall of His Majesty is an enormously popular subject these days. Even counting operas alone, there are over 100 depicting how the Kaiserinnen miraculously triumphed over their enemy.
How careless of me. So the actual protagonists of these stories are their majesties.
In Leithanien, you're free to create anything, so this is probably the result of the people revealing their true feelings. Frau Seemann may have also wanted to take the celebration as a chance to add a bit of luster to this national holiday by working with such a classical theme.
But even so, you said her painting was an unexpected surprise?
It's up ahead, just around the corner. Once you've had a look, I think you'll share my hope that this was just an accident.
An attack?
Please wait here while I check the situation.
I could help you out.
It might turn out to be just a couple of drunkards on the streets breaking in their new wands, and I'd rather not bother you with something so trifling.
Captain, we triangulated the source of the noise, and it's coming from the alley over there.
Have you sent anyone over?
The second squad went in, but no one's come out yet.
Are they still in there?
It was the strangest fellow we've ever seen. He definitely heard us rushing over, but it seems like he was still trying to break into the gallery instead of fleeing. Could this be something big? Do you want to bring a few more men along, Captain?
No need for that. Like I said, it's nothing major. Just some crazy punks stirring up trouble for us to vent their frustrations. Right, that lady you fancy, the competition knight. What was her surname?
Droste.
A name I've never heard of. Tell the others to keep the chase, while we return to the gallery to make sure Frau Droste hasn't come to any harm. A noblewoman with the Kaiserin's trust is far more valuable than all the works and secrets in that gallery combined.
Footsteps? Is there someone up ahead? Isn't the gallery closed off to the public? So this is the painting, and the subject is the death of the Witch King? No, this isn't Der Tod des Hexenkönigs at all. This is...
Black and disorderly, the lines twist into infinity. Der Tod des Hexenkönigs, sitting at the center, isn't the only thing to have those twisted lines painted over it. Every other painting on the wall sports the same look. The black spirals resemble vortices, breaking out of the frames one after another and filling the entire space. The lines seem to twist and burrow into her eyes, erupting into a series of mournful sobs in the depths of her mind. Her consciousness is pulled, deformed, fractured, and plunged into chaos. Shadows sway behind Viviana. She can hardly control her arts. She wants to preserve herself to escape. This terrifying power needs no concrete descriptor, image or sound to remind anyone of what it is. Much like its title, it forcefully crams itself directly into its audience's cognition, reflecting its very meaning into their minds. The Witch King.
What a beautiful piece of art.
A calm voice can suddenly be heard in the center of the exhibition hall. The noise comes to a halt, and the black spirals retreat into the paintings.
This painting... There's no obvious trace of Originium arts, so why? Arts aren't the only thing that can affect the mind. Something need only be true enough to tug at one's heartstrings, be it a picture or a melody. But please don't fear it. Feel it. It's very intense. A rich and deep emotion flows in these seemingly messy brush strokes. It's hard to keep looking. That's because you're looking at a person's soul. She put both the Witch King in her heart and her very life onto the canvas. Frau Seemann, what connection did she have with His Majesty? His death changed her entire life. As a young woman, she revered the man on the throne. She was in love with a symbol, a god. And then that god fell right before her eyes. She was confused, bewildered by his mortality. She lost her love, her purest emotions, and very nearly her ability to create as well. She was trapped. And only when her life was nearing its end did she realize this. You speak as if you were her. Her innermost emotions resonated with my melody. I went into the depths of her soul and heard her cry for help. Cry for help? It's the same everywhere you go. Many people are trapped in whatever fateful moment changed the course of their lives, walking along an endless spiral staircase. Just like your father and you as well.
The nights spent up in the spire were always quiet compared to the clamor of the city. The cheers grow increasingly loud as elegantly dressed musicians leave one by one with their instruments in tow. She remains the last one in the vehicle. "Don't be afraid, Viviana." Someone walks over and holds her hand. Casimir's and Leithanien aren't the same, but you'll get used to it. She nods obediently and follows the crowd out of the car. Still, she subconsciously closes her eyes as the neon lights of the Grand Knight territory pierce her vision. She's never told this to anyone, but back then it was the strange new country she was so afraid of. After all, her impression of Leithanien came slowly from the window in her room, less than a square meter wide. It's hard to say that she knew the country all that well. What she found so frightening was that the seemingly noisy evening outside might not actually be so different from the small slice of the night in her memories.
Viviana. Are you alright, Viviana? Frau Löwenstein. I'm reminded of when I first arrived in Casimir's. Back then you were holding my hand, just like now. Your palms are all sweaty. What happened? It's nothing. I just chatted with a strange woman. I stopped by Graf Josef's office earlier, but I only sensed your presence when I arrived here. She didn't do anything to me, and showed no hostility either. I think she simply came for the paintings too. Right, about the paintings. I'm sorry. Should I describe what they look like for you? No, please avert your eyes from them. Is there something wrong with them? Their odor. During the Witch King's reign, people were far more enthusiastic about originium research than they are today. The casters, or should I say artists, on the side of the Witch King saw it as more than just an energy source or a material for conducting arts. They believed that originium was another form of flesh and blood and could serve as a medium for the soul. So you're saying the black substance on the paintings is refined originium crystals mixed with the artist's blood. It sounds like this exhibit was rather well thought out.
Go cover up the paintings, use the heaviest fabric you can, and be sure not to touch the frames.
Understood.
I think the two of you should leave as soon as possible. The intruder has yet to be found, so the art gallery isn't safe.
It's not just us who are in danger. The people living in the city, everyone needs to be alerted. The ones who caused Frau Seemann's death and used her to paint these works are most likely...
Please don't say the name. Frau Löwenstein, das Kaiserinnenfest is just around the corner, and you know better than anyone that their majesties wouldn't want to see Zwillingstürme fall into chaos.
Which is why we're here. Can you at least inform the people who came to the gallery earlier? I worry for their mental state after seeing such horrific paintings.
How kind of you. I've already dispatched people to check on the crowd who came today, so don't worry. I also hope they didn't get too close a look.
Herr Vizegraf, I don't want Frau Seemann to have died a dubious death. She was a guest at His Majesty's Spire on that night 23 years ago, correct? She witnessed firsthand the fall of the Witch King and the birth of our national heroes.
I see. But what of it? Believe me, meine Dame, on that night, the youths congregating before that pitch-black spire weren't the only ones thirsting for dawn to break. There were many, many more. Moreover, most of them did not become the heroes they thought they would be, the brave souls delivering Leithanien's rebirth. Now, I've got an update on my intruder, so if you'll excuse me.
He's right, that night changed many things, but change isn't necessarily good. The Remnants may have planned Frida Zeman's death as punishment for betraying the Witch King, or maybe it was meant to send a signal announcing a major move. Did they kill my father for the same reason?
Suddenly a strange voice from a sculpture. Meine Dame.
Shh. Let me finish listening to this piece.
It's just a performance of a vagrant.
He was playing the same melody this morning, but now with such a different mood. He expected the gallery to be full of visitors today, and was planning to have a sandwich for dinner with an extra bratwurst to go. But now he realizes that he might have to go to bed hungry, yet again.
Did you probe into his mind with your arts?
No need for that. Haven't you noticed? The homeless gentleman is telling his story right now through his music, again and again. And all I'm doing is paying attention.
His story has nothing to do with us, though. The next stage has already been set. The stone sculpture by the flower bed ceases to speak. Instead of words, it now hums a tune, smooth and deep, from the vibrating structure within.
You Leithanians really do fancy your sound-producing sculptures. They give a perfect performance every time, but it lacks soul, just like the people trapped in the spires.
Arturia gently blows a pedal towards the mouthpiece of a large musical instrument carved into a sculpture. It rises and falls with the airflow, and the formerly uniform tune immediately changes, ever so slightly.
Much better.
Captain, we were so close to catching the intruder, but he suddenly disappeared on us. Are the roads outside still under lockdown? Yeah. He can't possibly have grown wings and flown over us, can he? Wings? Huh. Hard to say. We've really let you down, Captain. Encountering such a setback just when you're just about to... It's fine, Pim. Go find Graf Josef and tell him what's going on with the art gallery. Incidentally, I haven't heard the sound of gunfire in a long time. I've never been qualified to wield one, even back in my LATERANO days. But I can assure you that the wands we use in the gendarmerie hit just as hard and true. So before my men return, you best put away your firearm and your other weapons. And then explain. What business brings a sancta like you to Zwillingstürme? Loris Borden. Oh, you recognize me? Former Lateran citizen. 28 years ago, you came to Leithanien from Laterano and joined the gendarmerie. 23 years ago, the Twin Empresses conferred you the title of Vizegraf, and afterwards you became the commander of the gendarmerie, a position you still occupy to this day. I was counting on you to introduce yourself first. I require your assistance in bringing an important fugitive back to Laterano. Fugitive? Her name is Arturia. Now I remember. You're that, executor from the Curious Fifth Tribunal, the Notorio Hall's, I'm sorry, the list of titles on your sign-offs is always so long, I can't recall your actual name. Federico Giallo. Our dealings are considered international affairs, so according to protocol, signatures are to be as meticulous as possible. The dozen or so letters you sent to me are still... 27 letters. Did you read them properly? Did you even open them all? How could I, Anyway, you wrote all those letters over the past few years and even personally came to Leithanien just to hunt down this fugitive, yes? She has been active in Leithanien for many years now. I have reason to believe she is related to numerous unusual cases occurring here, including many of the cases you're currently working on. First it was his late majesty, and now a fugitive from LATERANO. When it rains, it pours, I suppose. Do we require a briefing on the subject and her situation from the very beginning? Alternatively, you may read any of the letters I sent you. Reverend Executor, if I could have just a moment. Baron Lucas, please go ahead. Those violent thugs disturbing the peace on the streets are back. Alright, I got it. I'll send men over right away. Of course, absolutely. I'll be there in person. Please rest assured that the gendarmerie will keep you safe and maintain Leithanien's untarnished glory. As you can see, I'm a very busy man. I disagree. The social status of the informant should not be a criterion determining the priority of your tasks. Look, we're not in LATERANO. Speaking of which, you're not allowed to freely fire your gun or any other weapons to intimidate the residents here. No, more than that, you best stay in my sight while you're operating in Zwillingstürme. I'm not aware of any such procedure. You mean the rules? Rules are set by people. I'd like to raise an objection. Then I'll have to arrest you at the first opportunity, Herr Federico. As someone who's fired multiple shots near a noble's private art gallery, many would see you as the biggest threat to Zwillingstürme's order. District of Bodenshof, Karl Schmidt Street. Frida Seemann, the deceased at the exhibition, resided here for many years. Right, Marigold Alley, a place beloved by both painters and poets. Baron Lucas moved here 2 years ago. He claims he wanted to be closer to an increasingly rare artistic milieu, but of course the real reason might be that the homes here are far cheaper than the ones in Innerstadt. I find it very likely that my target has been here before. Don't be rash. Remember our agreement. Arturia Giallo is a beloved and highly esteemed musician here in Leithanien. You're currently assisting the gendarmerie with an unrelated case under the premise that whatever you find has nothing to do with me or my men. I have discovered the alleged gang of violent thugs reported to be disturbing the peace. Immediate executing... Stay put! I suggest we immediately initiate arrest procedures. It's just a bunch of kids who don't want to attend classes. Get moving, all of you. No loitering. So you were here too. The instrument sculptures were built under the Kaiserin's orders, and vandalism will not be tolerated. You're also bothering everyone in the neighborhood with the sound of chiseling. Still not stopping your arts? What the hell are you carving?
Can't you see? I'm just transforming the street back into its proper form.
Twisted horns like those aren't allowed in Zwillingstürme. No, they're forbidden across all of Leithanien. Step aside. We have to destroy them before the Empress's voices find out.
Destroy? What makes you think you're brave enough to destroy a symbol of Herkunftshorn?
Where did you learn that name?
Plenty of people already know. He'll be back soon after all.
He was dethroned before he even learned to speak. You have no idea what those horns signify. Back then he'd erect a sculpture like that on the streets whenever he killed a dissident.
Someone's already dead, aren't they? The painter who lived down the street. She was the first. Run away with your tail between your legs, mein Herr. Whatever courage you once had is ancient history. The first soldier to set foot in the Witch King's spire. Do you really think you're still that same hero?
Don't think I'll let you off just because you hit a nerve, Schlingel. He's gone. Let him run.
Why did you not arrest him immediately?
Is there a point in rushing to fill up your prisons?
May I assume that your reluctance to arrest the boy was due to your personal feelings?
I'm almost regretting my decision to bring you along, Reverend Executor.
Agreed. Freedom of movement would allow me to lock down the target as soon as possible.
No, I meant I should have detained you in our office instead. Why is there another one still here? Hey, Junge! Make any more noise and I'll really bring you in.
The twisted horn sculptures. Are you not going to clean them up?
Right, I still have these troublesome things to deal with. I really don't get what youngsters have in their heads these days.
They're nostalgic for an era they never got to experience in person. But there's nothing wrong with that. All Leithanians are entitled to feel disappointed with how things are today. For example, the coachman casters who lost their job to Victorian automobiles, or the owners of the community theaters that closed down thanks to Frankfurt's film industry, or their children, of course. When people see no way out, the only way they can imagine a future is by looking back at the past.
Huh. Did you hear all that from some adult at home?
As if. I guarantee you she'd never say anything like that. All she knows is how to eliminate any threat to Leithanien at its source.
That sculpture shattered, and so easily.
He's clearly an ordinary student. I would recommend stopping him for questioning.
Nothing ordinary about him, that's for sure. Well, the more reason to keep our mouths shut. And now it's actually raining. Huh. Want a drink? Coffee or maybe beer? If you're drinking at this place, I recommend the former.
I do not make a habit of consuming fluids that will affect my central nervous system while on a mission.
Alright, beer for me then.
You are also...
On a mission, yeah. Why else would I be drinking at this hour?
The child from earlier said that you were the first soldier to set foot in the Witch King's Spire.
He's not wrong. What, want me to sign a napkin for you?
I would rather you sign the cooperation agreement I sent you.
Reverend Executor, how old were you 23 years ago? The news coverage on the coup can't have been bigger than the ads for some new dessert shop, can they?
The LATERANO who became the captain of Zwillingstürme's gendarmerie. That's how the headline went.
You sure did your homework.
I paid no attention to your ties to the Witch King. The Loris Borden I read about was a law enforcement officer worth working with, having solved one strange case after another.
Is that why you wrote me so many letters?
Arturia's arts are unusual, and you are well versed in handling similarly strange cases. In the year 1079, you arrested a gang of thieves proficient in casting illusions for Roman scams. In 1085, you shot dead a dangerous hypnotist.
Oh, wait, stop right there. Please don't take me for the protagonist of some detective drama.
You appear to be avoiding the topic, Loris Borden.
And why would I do that? It's just that I accepted early on that I'm a loser. Did you know, Jan, that uncooperative kid who we ran into in Marigold Alley earlier, he had a sister who used to work here. She went missing 15 years ago.
Judging by your special treatment of the young man, I assume the case remains unsolved.
And that's not the only case I haven't been able to crack. Not the first and definitely not the last. There's nothing special about it at all. It's just... is. Huh. A notorious hole executor like you probably hasn't experienced failure like that.
Herr Borden, you're here again. How are things lately?
The doctor told me to give up drinking.
That's a shame. To make a Leithanian man in his prime cut off his alcohol intake is just as bad as making him go deaf. I even thought I'd give you a 50% discount if you brought the dominant Herren from the gendarmerie here for your retirement party.
You're retiring? I'm leaving Leithanien once the Kaiserinen Fest is over. Thiem, what's that kid been up to lately?
Jan? The Universität he applied to rejected him, so he probably went off to learn a proper trade.
He's pretty talented with arts, and his grades in secondary school weren't bad either. So why wasn't he scouted by any of the universities?
Because he threw away your recommendation letter.
That Bengal.
He said you should be trying hard to find Julia, rather than worrying about which school he's going to. And also... actually, now that I've gone and said it, I think something's not quite right with the boy lately. On the day he got your recommendation letter, he asked me why his father didn't need one back in the day. Said he'd entered a certain Graf's spire solely by his own abilities. Talent was more important than lineage back when his majesty was still around. His words.
Where exactly has he been hanging out these days?
Not sure.
The Twisted Horn sculptures. Are you implying, as you implied, Jan shouldn't have known what they looked like, which means someone else showed him first? Oh, right. Which area used to have the highest concentration of those Twisted Horn sculptures?
Gustav Park? Not far from here. They call it Forest Park these days.
You should head home earlier today, Thiem.
Huh? Sure. Wait, Herr Borden? Why did you give me your wallet? You could buy a whole year's worth of beer with this much.
Keep it. It's for Jan. He's a clever kid, and should go to a good university. That should be enough for him to leave Leithanien and go polish himself in Victoria or Columbia. The rain stops. The park fountains do not even when the rain was still falling earlier. There are people sitting or standing under the trees in groups of 2 or 3, most holding an instrument. Violins, flutes, cellos. They seem to be playing independently, but the resulting performance is a harmonious ensemble. Melodies both soothing and mournful dance on the water and float through the trees. When I was a child, I heard that Einwald was a vast stretch of black forest before the nomadic cities were built. And whenever someone important passed away, people would go deep into the woods to remember the departed while playing their favorite music. I don't see you holding an instrument. When I returned to Leithanien, I brought nothing with me. I used to believe I could play all manner of instruments, but later I met a teacher I respect, who was keen to tell me that I didn't understand the first thing about music. But what he meant was, I didn't understand emotions. Back then I couldn't comprehend how that was possible. My short life had clearly been brimming with more than enough loss and suffering. And then? And then... my friend died. Then you must have felt true pain. To be honest, I'm still not sure I truly understand. Then I left Leithanien and traveled the lands. I would play for the people I met, and their praise grew only more enthusiastic with every place I visited. But I haven't played anything specifically for my dear friend in a long time. I'm sure they'd love to hear your performance no matter what level you're at. I know, and precisely because I know, I hope I can improve. Have I ever actually tried to stand up to anything in my life? Can I honestly tell him, with my back straight and my head held high, that I lived a life full enough, rich enough, that it was worth of his sacrifice? I can't imagine how he would reply, because I'm not even sure what to say to him in the first place. And you, sir, who do you hold in your heart when you come here? A mentor. He left us 23 years ago, but I never forgot him. He must have been a great man. I heard that this park was established to commemorate the victims from 23 years ago, Every tree standing here replaced a twisted horn sculpture made of flesh and blood. I have to admire them. During those dark times, they had the courage to stand up and resist fate. Perhaps you're the same. A lot of the music we listen to is much older than even the entire history of Leithanien. The wills of the departed continue to live on in us through their music. Live on in us. Right. I want to believe that. Do you see that man standing over there? You mean the one carrying a sword who's been following you? That's the one. Do you know him? Serious, calm, lacking emotion. Their faces always look so alike, I don't even bother distinguishing them anymore. My time's up, isn't it? You certainly enjoy wasting time, Graf Urtica. Wunderbar, so I didn't mistake you for someone else. Truth be told, Herr Overseer, I did think I was ready for you when I first walked into the park. If their majesties want my life, then they can have it. After all, from then till now, and even for the foreseeable future, my life has never truly been a boon to anyone. Did you come here to plan your suicide? I only considered it for a moment. Besides, if I'd pointed my wand at my throat, you'd pushed it to stop me, no? The voice of Medane has yet to play, so you cannot die. What a shame. No matter who I hear that from, it never makes me the slightest bit happy. Can you hear the cello? I spent the afternoon reviewing my past through the sound of music, and myself on the water surface. And my conclusion? My life really isn't worth any more than it was a few years ago. However, just like back then, no one can use it or manipulate it. Especially not you people. What are you saying? An ambush? Several black spheres conjured with arts leap from the puddles in the area. They had been camouflaged with the reflections of the trees in the water and accompanied the melodies drifting through the air as they accumulated energy from the wobbly ripples. So they sent a whole party just to execute me. Would you like me to perform a deep bow in appreciation of their majesties? Sadly, I'm doomed to disappoint them. I still haven't figured out when I'll play for him. But there is one thing I will absolutely tell him myself. I tried. I was always trying. I never stopped resisting. Alright then, from paintings that have some eldritch vibes coming from them, to Arturia just staring back at it and being like, that's normal, to Ebenholt's eternally suffering. Well, this is gonna be a story, alright? Yep, Get ready! Anyway, half jokes aside, we do have two new enemies to introduce here. One is the Remnant Orchestra Flautist, and it says, flautist who wants to join their king's orchestra. This nobody has never seen the spectacle and is all the more fanatical for it. The second one is the Remnant Orchestra Trumpeter. Trumpeter who wants to sound their king's triumph. His music is sharp and bright, and he believes himself to be the herald of victory. Good for him. Oh, and before we move on, now that we have met the Twin Empresses, remember the titles of these two stages? They're pretty much mirroring their respective Empresses' full titles. Ewige Gnade and Grimmacht. Oh, and by the way, as a quick little apologies if I'm not translating too much, but the most important stuff I've seen them translate, like literally give you the German and then give you the German and the English what it means.
the vast majority of things are just names, so you can literally just vibe around with it. It's not necessarily something that needs to be translated. But a couple of things that the story even deems necessary, they literally give you immediately what it means in English, so you understand it. But yeah, there's a shit on. If I would be to stop at every single German word, we would be here for a while. So apologies. But anyway, we move on to our training stage, which is titled Command Technique. It is control I desire and control I shall have. There is obviously no story here, but we do have one new enemy, which is the Remnant Orchestra Wind Player. Wind Player who wants to become the concert master of their king's orchestra. He worked hard to climb the ladder, but the orchestra is long gone, for which he is very resentful. And who can blame him, I guess? And then we move on to our second battle stage, which is titled Overture, Sentinel. A piece inspired by the call signals of the Imperial Gendarmerie during their night patrols. The drum beat is steady and resolute, just like the sentry's unshakable march. Alright then, let's begin.
Once upon a time, there was a child who was imprisoned in an old tower. The script of his life had been written from the moment of his birth, like an opera. Every aria, every scene was meticulously planned, and all he could do was follow it. One day the child realized that he was part of the show. It was all a masquerade. Love, hate, resentment, everything around him was fake. Confused, frightened, and angry, he called the score fate and tried to resist it. At one point he even thought he had succeeded in escaping from the stage. But he forgot that freedom granted by another can never be true freedom. When the threads of fate tightened again, there was nowhere for him to go except back on stage. But this time he chose to fight. The show would go on, he would struggle for the benefit of the audience in the seats. Still, he thought he could at least glare back at them and scorn the fate that they had imposed upon him. But he often wonders, if he was still in the play, how can he tell where the stage ends and the audience begins? And if all of us are part of a play like he is, how would we know when it truly ends?
Poor kid. Will he get out? Will he become a hero and defeat the bad guy?
A hero? Sadly, not everyone can be a hero. Given enough time, some heroes stop being heroes, or even become villains.
That's not the kind of story I want to hear.
Alright. Let's start from even earlier in the story then. That way, we won't get to the ending you don't want to hear today.
9. Hurry up already.
You guys like playing at Forest Park, don't you? Did you know that it wasn't actually built to commemorate the heroes who died resisting the Witch King? Gustav Park was built to commemorate the deeds of a great ruler. And in his story, he was a hero too. Oh, so that's how it is. If it isn't my old friends. I knew it didn't make any sense for their majesties to go through the trouble of bringing me back and sparing my life for a few days only to send assassins. You are the key to the plan, Graf Urtica. Yes, we've all heard this one before. Have you learned nothing from what happened with Gertrude? All that effort and not even the ruins of a concert hall to show for it. What do you want from me this time? To blow up the park above us? Gräfin Strollo's failure was born of ignorance. She and the original experimenters were nothing but useless rebel. They knew His Majesty's melody, but not how to play it properly, and foolishly sought to use it as a weapon to spread the calamity of Originium. Such uncouth violence is an affront to art. Even if he had awakened from it, he would have sentenced them to death for their blasphemy. Of course. So you're saying that Gertrude was a fraud, but you're the real deal? Then, what? You need me to appeal to their majesties to bestow you a medal proving your commitment to the arts? We only seek your understanding. You are His Majesty's heir, the symbol of his glory, the manifestation of his flesh and blood, and the continuation of his melody. We believe that you will bring glory back to Urtica and to Leithanien. Then do it. Take back his glory, his flesh and blood, his melody. I wonder though, without those, what would be left of the individual known as Ebenholz? Perhaps it is your infection or perhaps the results of Rhode Island's training. You've certainly become stronger. And yet you show not even a sliver of His Majesty's strength. I must go. Freeze! What are you doing here? Take another step and I'll have you arrested. But I haven't. You haven't formally joined those lunatics yet? Good for you. They're no lunatics. Maybe you see His Majesty's reign as one of terror, but all he did was punish the nobles who stood in the way of progress. Why am I not allowed to miss him? Why can't I long for a Leithanien where someone like me could become somebody? Because I know that they are better than you do. Listen, Junge, when I first came to Leithanien, I accidentally stepped on a poster on the ground. Every other person in the street was probably a spy. I was a traitor from LATERANO at the time, and they planned to execute me as a subversive foreign element. You could have contacted the Notarial Hall or the 7th Tribunal. Certainly, Reverend Executor, just like you could have broken into the most heavily guarded arts jail on your own and rescued me. But like most Sancta, your wings are ornamental, not functional. Leithanien is more than a stone's throw from LATERANO. Not even you could have helped a Liberi who was scheduled to be executed the very next day. But you survived and became Leithanien. Because someone saved my life. A limping old Liberi, a soldier who'd killed a few Gauls in his time. He later joined the Gendarmerie, essentially the Witch King's secret police at the time. He took pity on me and got me out. I'm told the executioner got a fancy new cigarette case for his trouble. Only a few days later, the Witch King executed another batch of dissidents, right here in this park. And when I looked up from the crowd, can you guess whose face I saw among the twisted statues? Are you scared? You should be. Go home, Junge, and don't ever get involved in these things again. We should go too, Reverend Executor. You've also detected the use of arts. Someone is fighting. I'll let the Empress's voice know. Let them worry about it. We will miss our chance to apprehend the criminal. When will you understand? I don't want that chance. If I strolled into that park, I'd find a group of masked people calling themselves the Echoes of Verkunftshorn. And their majesties would certainly expect me to draw my weapon and arrest or kill them. But do you know whose faces I'd see when I remove their masks? Perhaps the heir of a Graf, or the son of a Kurfürst. As for me, if I'm lucky enough to survive, I'd be sent straight back to jail. This battle in the park? I'd go down as nothing more than a little brawl over some private grudge. Just like Jan's sister, Julia. I tried to catch the last bastard to see her, but couldn't touch a hair on his head because of his father's title, his family, and the Kaiserinnen's intervention. An enforcer of the law should act only in accordance with the law, not his own interests. Since when has the law cared about a man's life or death? The law allows you to leave a last will and testament. If you are killed in battle, I will see you executed to the latter. You have one twisted sense of humor. But that reminds me, when I joined the uprising against the Witch King and attacked the Spire, I truly believed that I'd leave something behind, even in death. But look at me now, an alcoholic who spends his days taking bribes and bowing to high nobles. You're absolutely right. I'm not fit to enforce the law. I bet the old man who saved me is rolling in his grave. The events of the past should not cloud your judgment of the present. You could not save that girl named Yulia, but you saved her brother, and you have the chance to save someone else. I envy you, Reverend Executor. Back when I left Laterano, I thought the Sancta were hard to understand, but now I realize that there is no one simpler. But are the laws of Laterano always correct? I have in fact encountered a case like the one you mentioned. What? The case I am pursuing right now. It is very special to me. Her actions have seriously threatened the order of Laterano. The outcome is clearly wrong, yet she has continued to escape the law's judgment. Do you ever feel doubt then? Disappointment? In my experience, disappointment is born from having previously held strong positive feelings towards something. Which you never had? You're different from the other Sancta I know. You've never loved Laterano, have you? I do not believe such sentiments to be necessary to perform my duties. Maybe you're right. Or maybe when you're finally forced to doubt yourself and find yourself wavering, lost like me, you realize that you need a strength, a reason. And that's when you'll discover that the law offers no guidance. I hear a cello. The target is just ahead. If you refuse to follow, I will proceed to the suspect's location and complete the mission myself. Go. I would prefer to have the cooperation of the gendarmerie. Not my problem. I need to head back and hand over my resignation to the city's council. Don't worry, I'll pass the documents you gave me along to my successor before I leave Zwillingstürme. I do not believe that the former hero is dead, Loris Borden. Oh? After all, you're standing right in front of me. Accurately determining a person's life or death is part of my job. Seriously? The target isn't here. This cello tune.
You see the sculpture spraying water? Their arts have been modified to reproduce her performance. Why are you pointing that at me, Sancta? Have you lost your mind?
Marigold Alley, Forest Park. You have been at the scene of every incident. Your behavior is abnormal for a Leithanien of your age. The evidence provides plenty of reason to suspect you.
And that's why you're pointing a gun at me? Did I ever occur to you that I could be on your side?
When dealing with someone attempting to hide their identity, detention followed by interrogation is the most efficient option.
You're even less flexible than a statue tuned by the worst caster. I was wondering who this trap was for. Any Leithanien child off the street could have told you this wasn't a live performance. Whoever said it must have known you well. She knew you'd come after the sound of a cello like a hungry tuskbeast pouncing on a piece of meat, ignoring everything else, giving her an opening to approach her real target.
Loris Borden?
That spineless gendarmerie commander? Why bring him up?
Your assessment is correct. Arturia lured me away. It is Loris Borden she wants. DM? It's me. Is Jan back yet? Okay, good. Tell him I'm very sorry about his sister. About Yulia. I'm leaving Leithanien soon. The leads I've collected over the years are in my house in Bodenshof. The key's in the wallet I gave you. Give it to Jan. Hopefully, someone will take over the case after I'm gone. I've been pursuing it for so long now. I couldn't get a result, but maybe someone else can. This is a bigger commotion than the previous ones. Pim? I'm near Forest Park. There's a situation here. Get a team over. No, one team might not be enough. Get everyone you can. Yeah, it's probably those masked shurken. Maybe they set fire under the asses of a pack of Grumpincers in order to blow up the sewers. Let's just hope no unlucky bastards gets caught up in the mess. Music? Who's there? A Sancta? Reverend Executor, is that you?
The events of the past should not cloud your judgment of the present. You could not save that girl named Yulia, but you saved her brother, and you have the chance to save someone else.
An illusion? No, just a memory. Oh, Pim, no, it's nothing. There's only me here. It's just that I was reminded of something. Yeah, the bastards are right below me. I'll leave a beacon here. Yeah, I know, it's dangerous. I'll keep my distance.
Run away with your tail between your legs, mein Herr. Whatever courage you once had is ancient history. The first soldiers to set foot in the Witch King's Spire. Do you really think you're still that same hero?
Get out of my head, you asshole. No, I wasn't talking to you, Pim. Time to move. I'm gonna hang up. I know better than anyone that I'm a coward. I couldn't find out how Yulia died. Couldn't even take revenge for her. Yulia. Yulia. What would you say if you saw me now? You were always so warm and gentle. Maybe you wouldn't let your disappointment show.
Don't hang your head, Junge.
Hey there, old man. Now it's your turn to pop out of my memories, huh?
You're not too quick on the uptake, but you've got guts. Not many could look a picture of the Witch Kings in the eye, let alone step on it.
I was just an unlucky bastard who happened to walk by. Was it really worth losing your life over someone like me?
Don't feel like you owe me anything. Did you really think I was going to die in bed after working for the Witch King for so many years? Letting you go just helped me sleep a night for once. For the last few days of my life. Same goes for you, Junge. If you feel guilty, then try saving a few more lives before you go. The Liberian limps away and disappears into the shadow beneath the sun. It's a long one, like the one the spire cast all those years ago. Many lives faded into those shadows, with not a soul to gaze upon them. It was how things were, and how they still are. The cello music fades away. Only the tremors beneath his feet remain. He knows they are the sounds of innocent souls struggling for life. He could stay put. He could leave Leithanien like he left Laterano. All he'd need to do is turn around and leave, like he'd done for decades now. So much easier than leading the charge, no?
I'm tired, old man. I want to live. Not just that, but to drink freshly brewed beer every day, to listen to jazz with Pim and the boys after work, and to take a trip to Sami next summer. I couldn't die a hero like you did. But why... Why am I disappointed? You're tired, young Graf. Aripa feeds away at you. If you continue to use your arts, only death awaits. And are you afraid of that? I fear only what we must do to stop you. My head hurts. We do not wish to harm you, but the concertmaster says that the melody within you is more valuable than your mind. We will put you to sleep for a while if need be. You want to wipe my mind? I won't let... Ah! Who's there? Aliberi? In a gendarmerie uniform? Just one? Trying to be a hero, are you? Go, my men are on their way. He hears the stranger say to him, Danke. Don't let him get away! Ebenholz knows he will not get another chance. Blood drips down from a corner of his mouth. His head is splitting. The battle behind him continues. He wants to see the face of his hero, but the tiny silhouette is quickly engulfed in light from arcs and explosions. All he can do is run. He keeps running. He knows not where this path leads, nor the effort it will take to escape its predestined end.
Don't your eyes get tired staring at a book for so long? I'm used to it. In my tournament days, my schedule was always packed. Time to myself was precious, so I often spent entire nights reading. Don't feel pressured. You've only just returned to Leithanien. Even in Casimir's, I never forgot where my home was. Over there, they called me the Knight from Leithanien. My Leithanian guests often discussed poetry and music from home with me, and praised me for being a paragon of the light of Leithanian elegance. They're not wrong. Yet I spent most of my life away from this country.
Viviana, speaking in Leithanian.
Other than the language and the books I've read, how much do I truly know about this land? Is there a pointy dome up ahead? What's the color of the tip? White adorned with orange. It's my favorite flower shop. I can smell the flowers, but wouldn't know if they've painted it a different color. I envy you. You have a brand new chance to appreciate this city, this country. Unlike me, who's never had the opportunity to see Zwillingstürme with my own eyes. Your eyes. My sight died with the Witch King 23 years ago. That's the last time I saw the city. Unlike me, you have a chance to see the beauty of the present and a future that should be better. Hello, this is Droste. What did you say? Sorry, I heard you. I just couldn't believe what I heard. Who is it? The gendarmerie who was a Candlenight fan. I asked him to follow up on the art gallery incident. Neither of us thought it would be a simple case. But what I didn't expect was...
Lawrence Borden, confirmed dead. Cause of death is originally marked as trauma from at least 5 different sources. The correct cause of death is believed to be suffocation caused by the ribcage penetrating the lungs. The next step is to destroy the statue and retrieve the body. The statue is believed to have been created by an extremely rare form of matter reconstruction arts, and appears to be highly resistant to damage.
Hey, wait up, you're too fast. What the hell are you doing?
Lawrence Borden was a citizen of Laterano. Tutorial Hall regulations dictate that examine his body to ascertain whether he left behind an executable will.
So you'll shoot a whole crime scene to pieces?
I'm quite accurate. My calculations indicate only a 27% chance that destroying the statue without damaging the body will cause a collapse.
You can't.
Explain.
First of all, the gendarmerie has the area surrounded. They heard the gunshots and will be in here in 3 minutes. When they do, they'll see you, a Sancta, pointing a gun at the mutilated body of their commander.
I'll be quick.
I said, first of all! More importantly, there's no way you can retrieve Borden's body intact. His flesh is a part of the statue now. They're completely inseparable.
Not even with your arts?
You didn't seriously think a kid like me could undo the Witch King's arts, did you?
Over here! It took them less than 2 minutes. You should have mentioned your second point first. If there is excessive difficulty in completing the objective, then I will delay the retrieval of Loris Borden's body.
My bad, I didn't think there could possibly be anyone harder to communicate with than her.
Put down your weapon! Turn around! We're surrounded.
I'll count to 10, then we make a run for it.
Your name?
Name? Micha. Micha Wolf. Wait, now's not the time for introductions, is it?
You're attempting to persuade me to violate the laws of Leithanien. I must reassess the logic of continuing to work with you.
We share a common goal. I want to find Arturia too. Is that enough?
Very well. But this is an international matter. His Holiness would want me to...
The culprit won't wait for the diplomacy process to finish.
What is the count at now?
10. Let's just say it's 10. Go!
Frau Droste!
What's the situation, Pim?
The suspect fled the scene. A small lupo with unusual arts and a gun-wielding Sancta. Must be the same one who broke into the art gallery.
A Sancta and a lupo? Is that the crime scene?
I wouldn't advise heading into the sewers, meine Dame. It's not a sight for the faint of heart.
Herr Borden's footprints stretch from the entrance into this area. The scent of Originium arts. There was a big fight here. A statue in the shape of the Witch King's twisted horns. Not at all how the books describe them. Wait, is that Herr Borden's face? In the middle of the statue? How could they be so cruel? Who's there? I know you're there. Show yourself. Don't worry, I'm neither gendarmerie nor secret police. I'm just mourning for Herr Borden, like you. Did you know him? Only in passing. When we first met, he reminded me of many people I've worked with in Casimir's. People who once dreamt big dreams with a burning passion, but it's a rare soul that never wavers, always shining bright in a lighthouse, like a lighthouse. Most are like Herr Borden or myself. Which makes me all the more curious. What made him decide to face such a dangerous foe by himself? And why him? Why kill such an ordinary man, one already resigned to his own mediocrity? But he wasn't an ordinary man. He was a hero. He came here to save lives. Do you need a handkerchief? I'm sorry. I was so stupid. I'm the one who got him killed. He told me to run, so I ran, but I should have known they wouldn't let him live. Who exactly are they? I'm not so sure myself. All I know is that they all wear masks and call themselves the Echoes of Heckumshorn. The name of the Witch King. I've read that his followers believe that using his name grants them his wisdom and insight, even after his death. That's not just a legend. Didn't you see the statue they made from Loris's flesh? They're punishing traitors in his name. They said that the soul of the traitor will lead them to the lost Genesis horn.
The statue in the park comes alive. It stands up, swinging its stone instrument like an executioner's axe, bringing it down on the people below.
Look out! That was close. It's something crushed the statue? It's so dark. It's nothing. Just never speak that name to anyone ever again. Could the legend really be true? Is it true that His Majesty isn't really dead and that we still linger under his gaze? Try to forget everything you saw and heard these past few days, other than Herr Borden's sacrifice. As an Empress's voice, I promise you that his death will not fade into silence. Follow the light. My candle will protect you. The lost Genesis horn. I've heard rumors. Before he jumped from his spire following his liege's death, the Witch King's concertmaster claimed that the Genesis horn still stands somewhere on this land. At first, their majesties believed this to refer to the spire of the Witch King, but that spire had long since been toppled. Indeed, their majesties destroyed every brick and tile that could have contained the Witch King's arts, and recombined them to form the bones and blood of the Twin Empresses spires. The Remnants believe that the spire still exists then? Or maybe it's not a spire at all. In Leithanien, a spire is simply a symbol of one's prowess in arts. If your theory is correct, and there's some kind of ritual behind these deaths, then they must be looking for the final secret the Witch King left in this realm. Death of the Witch King. The theme of Frau Seemann's final painting. The Witch King's remnants do not pick their victims at random. Perhaps the secret they're looking for has something to do with her painting. Their Majesty's casters have examined all the artwork in the museum and found nothing of note. Perhaps she left other clues in the creation process. Frau Löwenstein, please proceed to Frau Seemann's residence. I'll meet you there. You're going to walk the streets just like that? Don't you know that the gendarmerie are looking for you?
It is more efficient to find Arturia before they catch up.
You don't even care how big of a mess you make, do you? Just don't leave the cleanup to me.
You said we shared a common goal.
I suppose. And you said that Arturia lured you away to target that officer. But why? Why give him a chance to fight back if she just wanted him dead? Is murder not enough for her? Does she enjoy watching people die in pain?
No, she takes no joy in hurting others.
Are you sure about that? She's hanging out with the Witch King's remnants. Why would you expect her to have basic morals?
Define morals.
Huh?
If morals are a set of behavioral rules that ensure social order, then yes, Arturia is certainly a dangerous criminal with no regard for morality. However, if they represent the impetus and capacity to understand and respect the emotions and experiences of another, then I have never met an individual with more morals than her.
Get to the point.
Arturia did not intend to kill Loris Borden. That statue was not an affront to life. She would have deemed it unbearably ugly. What's the commotion this time? Have those ignorant peasants come to cause trouble again? Why do we give the gendarmerie so many favors if they can't even do their jobs? Get me on the line with Borden. What did you say? Borden's dead? I knew the January was trash. This cello, not too bad. It sounds just like the one from a few days ago. No doubt this culturally rich alley has drawn the attention of a famous musician. Wings and a halo? My goodness, it's a Sancta from LATERANO. I dread for the future of our dear Leithanien.
This piece is dedicated to the return of the hero, Loris Borden.
The tune of the cello echoes through the alley. The moment the hero of days past rediscovers his courage, his suppressed love and hatred, regret and determination, hope and despair, all are revealed by its melody. It is the sound of mourning, of remembrance, of praise. The life that should have faded is brought back, more brilliant than ever, brighter than the morning sun, brighter than the blooming flowers.
Frau Seemann's belongings have been sorted and laid out upstairs. Frau Löwenstein, are you crying? I think I'm seeing memories. Are the marigolds in the alley blooming? Yes. This was her favorite season. She used to lean by the window painting the passerby. Yes, I remember. I loved her paintings. My memories of them have never faded in color. Those golden days when we all lived with hope for the future. But before you know it, it's all in the past. Take me to Frida's room, Anna. Hello.
You're back, Frau Droste. Of all the nobles I've met, I've never known a more avid reader.
I would like to access the library at the top floor.
The top floor? The forbidden section?
I need to review the records of the forbidden research conducted by the Witch King Remnants in recent years.
That might be an issue.
I can get Her Majesty's permission immediately if necessary.
There's no need for that. Naturally, the forbidden section is open to Empress's voice. However, I'm afraid that all the documents were removed this morning.
May I ask who did it?
A spirecaster, on Her Majesty's orders, as far as I know.
But it was Her Majesty who gave me her blessing to come here.
As you well know, there is more than one woman who bears the title. I hope you're ready. I won't tolerate any more interruptions to the plan. Almost there. I just need these experiment notes. You Leithanians have such awful hobbies. It's such a bother trying to sift through something useful from all the chaff.
Gertrude Strollo was simply a convenient woman to set up to take the fall. Her talents were mediocre.
Did you involve every noble in this? Even the ones who had secret dealings with the Victorian dukes last time?
Every one I could find.
A familiar tone. No wonder they fear you so much, Your Majesty. Do you know what they call you behind closed doors? The next Witch King. I have to say, your similar taste in wardrobe does you no favors either.
I've never denied what Herkomshorn's intelligence, skill and strength meant to Leithanien. In fact, that's exactly what we need right now.
The Kurfürsten wouldn't like the sound of that at all.
It's not the title of the Witch King that they fear. What they fear is Liselotte and I walking Herkomshorn's old path and encroaching on their power and interests.
You remind me of old Leopold. When the two of you were born, he asked me what the life expectancy of children born of the Eldritch arts was.
And your answer?
I said I can't give you a precise answer, Your Excellency, the Grossherzog, but I'm sure they'll outlive you.
I doubt he was happy to hear that.
Was I wrong? He wanted to see the fall of Herkufzhorn, but forgot to take his own age into account.
Leopold participated in the Battle of the Four Emperors, and led the revolution that overthrew the Witch King. He was undoubtedly a hero of Leithanien.
Heroes can be greedy too.
Greedy can be forgiven, as long as they stand for a unified Leithanien. Otherwise, the greedy must be parted from their positions, or their heads from their necks.
Ruling with an iron fist, I see. But what does Eviknade think about that?
Lieselotte does not approve of my methods. She whispers in my ear that such radical measures only create more opposition.
She thinks herself the gentler mother.
Your words will sting her.
Grimmacht, my harsh Kaiserin, it is so unsettling to see such sentimentality on your face.
Lieselotte truly loves Leithanien and its people. As such, she is destined to stand in my way.
Good. Now, there's the dark brooding look I know and love. Did you want to convince me that you'll be able to see it through when the time comes?
Many scholars believe that those born from arts like us are born without a soul. They say the same of you. They believe that we are of the same kind.
Oh, for our lack of souls or for our cruelty?
Help me one more time, Fremont. We must find the Witch King's legacy.
An indistinct voice can be heard. Someone calling to me? Was it you? Where's the one who saved my life? Dead. I'm sorry, once again I've let the courage of another go to waste. Water? You poured water on my face? Drink. You're mistaken if you think I'll simply cooperate. If you won't drink, I'll have to take other measures. Is this medicine? Or some noble form of torture and executioner? Dying is easy, especially for a frail, infected noble. But you have only one chance to do it. Before you die, think carefully about how you really want to make your curtain call. So, one day I will learn that I need to take that cursed voice that I do, and I just need to put it in a shoebox or something and just lock it away and store it away. I swear, every single time I give the dry, raspy voice to some character, there is like a 90% chance that person will die. What is wrong? Why? This is happening way too often. This is happening way too often. And I have no control of it. I'm starting to really think the voice is cursed at that point. At this point, rather. This is not okay. This is not okay. But anyway. We're getting into some interesting territory. Grimm seems to have her own agenda there. And is planning something in the background. And I do wonder who that guy is with her. Seems interesting. And some Eldritch Bullshittery as well on top. And I literally called it when I said here Eldritch Bullshittery with a picture. But that one was a given. That one was my first thought with that portion. But here they literally name drop it. Well, this is going somewhere, I guess.
This is gonna be some crazy shenanigans. But before we move on, couple of things. First off, we have one extra character, or rather one extra enemy here, which is the Remnant Orchestra Hornist. A very horny guy. And it says, Hornist who wants to display his skills under their king. I'm sure he wants to. He has never had a chance to show off his talents. Oh, I am sure he never did. He wants to flash them, right? And waits for an opportunity to awe the world. Oh, he definitely wants to flash his junk. Okay. Anyway. And that is pretty much it. That is pretty much it here for part 1. One quick bonus thing. This little game here. Now, this investigation minigame where you question these NPCs and other NPCs and our dear boyo here, Beagler. I have no idea once you complete this whole thing if you're able to reread every single one of the NPCs or something. Because at least the Beagler stuff I would like to keep for a final video, but right now I don't really have access to anything. I've already went through 3 regular characters, and at least 3, and I don't know. One of you, maybe someone can confirm or deny if you can somehow read anything. I still have Beagler here. I haven't done his, I haven't finished his first one here yet, so maybe I can at least do him and the other important ones that seem to be important for this bracket, at least for future videos, and include them in the videos as well. But yeah, I'm very interested to hear if one of you guys knows if any of the other conversations are able to be read again once you're done with everything, or if they're just gone. If they're just gone, I find it a bit sad, I'm not gonna lie. One other thing, while even if all of that might be gone, one thing that will not be gone is in here, pardon. The titles for these different compositions... Jesus Christ, hold on, stop. The titles for these different compositions are always available, so I will probably add them in a bonus episode at the end. And speaking of bonus episode, the covert visitations here on the left, I'm gonna record them separately for a bonus video and probably do the same thing that I did like for Lone Trail, for example, where I had a bonus video at the end with bonus material, and Syracusano and other events where I had bonus episodes once we are completely done with all the story. So expect probably something similar to that in this whole spiel. But yeah, that is it. All I can say is this is a beginning. Well, I can kind of see where this is gonna be going. Not gonna lie, but I am excited if that's the thing I'm thinking about. But anyway, for now, thank you very much for listening and watching. If you liked this video, please consider leaving a like on it. It would help me out a lot and mean a lot, of course. Leave a comment, of course, as well. That helps a lot as well. And I always like to chat with you guys and hear your thoughts as well on the story, characters, and events. Obviously, keep the comments to the current episode, like I said at the beginning. And of course, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. And if you wanna join the memberships, they are there as well. And as I always say, the memberships will never have videos behind them, no paywalling, no bullshit like that. They're literally just there to support me and my work more directly than just YouTube ads and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys very much, and we shall continue next time. Until then, hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are, and until then, bye bye.